Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark for Women in Horror Month. Joining me tonight, first up from Chicago, Illinois, by way of New York or New Jersey, Philadelphia. Please welcome Joe to the show.
I'm excited that this might be our last show. There's a good energy.
Next up on the show, joining us after a little bit of a hiatus, she is back. Please welcome Sophie to the show. You're muted.
Still on hiatus.
Yeah.
So out of practice. It's good to be back.
Welcome back to the show. Next up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And finally tonight from Maryland, somewhere in Maryland, that state, please welcome John Schnarch to the show.
Hello, Eric.
How's it going tonight,
Good to be here. Good to see you, as always.
It's good to see you too.
I feel like I'm getting a high-def version of Sophie for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like full on.
I explained this to Eric. So my job pays for my phone. So I decided to just tether my phone to my iPad. But since I work for the government, we recently got first responder level of data access. So I think my internet's very, very fast on my phone now.
No, I'm dead serious. It's like you're getting like very solid.
You heard it here first, John. Bloody Good Horror, first responders. How's that feel?
Yeah. What?
I wouldn't say everybody. I'm not even a first responder.
By proxy.
What tier are you then for the vaccination, Sophie? Like, are you?
I mean, Joe, I still live in Missouri. I'm never going to get the vaccine.
But if you lived in a state that believed in the...
Truly, even if I lived on the other side of the state, like everyone in the federal defender's office in St. Louis already got vaccinated. Like their court clerk put something in and their whole office got vaccinated. And the court clerks in Kansas City is like, y'all can just fuck off and enter the lottery like everybody else.
Yikes.
Cool.
So super fun.
So yeah, things are still going great, guys. That's why we're here tonight to talk about Near Dark. Should be fun. I had never seen this fine motion picture before tonight. Joe.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what we are drinking tonight?
Beer guts.
Near Dark. A heartwarming tale about a group of emos that meet another emo and welcome him into their emo coven and then do emo stuff. And in honor of their emo ways, I picked a beer from Larrett Lodge Brewing Company, which I think is the first time I've picked a beer from them. They're out somewhere in Colorado. Evergreen. The name of the beer I picked from them is their Hazy Boy Laid Back IPA. Yeah, just a happy-go-lucky cowboy looking for love in all the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
This, as you might expect, is an IPA of the hazy persuasions. Lot of citrus.
Joe, you know where he was looking for love? The Nat. He's looking in the Nat.
I mean, we'll get into it, but anyone that lets you lick their ice cream cone on like the first meetup, like nothing good.
Oh, I don't think that's ever.
Especially during COVID.
I don't think that's ever okay. Let me just state that for the record for anybody who might be listening.
Like sharing dairy products in general is just anyway.
Joe,
I don't know. My mom said it was nice to share.
Yeah, like it's like making a mess. What are you gonna do?
I not eat it. Just get a nap.
No. Throw it out.
All right.
Yeah, you've got diseases, John. Hazy IPA, ton of hops in this. Very smooth and drinkable, though. Creamy, you might even say. A lot of citrus, a lot of sort of lemony flavors. Comes in at 5.9% alcohol, so not super high. You can drown your miseries in it if you want to have 7 or 8, but you can still run to the store and pick up more. Evergreen, I just had their beers for the first time over the summer, so I don't have a ton of experience with them, but from their website, they look like great people. They got a brew pub if you're looking for dinner. LaureateLodgeBrewing.com is their website, and if you're just looking to take a trip, like why not give them a go? I think they're doing curbside pickup. You just want to eat in your car.
That's great.
That's the trip. You drive to the lodge.
Right.
Park outside.
What do you have to do, John? We have definitely driven to restaurants and just eaten in the parking lot just for something to do. Very nice.
I would do that now, but I have not.
Eating in a parking lot? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, we've got a minivan,
Wow.
so like we'll like when it was warmer, we would bring like lawn chairs.
Shit's
and,
like a house on
over
wheels.
Back,
Yeah.
The kids the back, and we'd bring sit outside.
Wow.
What else are we gonna do?
I guess.
I'm down.
That works, man.
You gotta
Sold.
fill up the time.
It's burning time, man.
All
right.
More tips. Just email me. I'll tell you what we're doing.
Thank you for that, Joe. All right, guys, it is time. Let's take a quick break so that we can discuss Near Dark.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
John, the more I say it, you know what it kind of reminds me of? Yeah, Near Far. You familiar with this? Like the Grover thing?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Casey.
I was like, what are you talking about? The two words?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I do know the Grover thing.
Yeah.
So
It's classic.
familiar. Yeah.
Monster at the end of this book,
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we've got that one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know what's in those books, John? I'm told.
Monsters.
No, well, not
You're
actually.
told.
Twist. You're spoiling them. Words, John. Words are in the end of those books, and also in your brain. So please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, desquamation.
Oh.
That's DESQUAMATION. I'm reading from the Wikipedia because I feel like it's a little better than the dictionary. It's like a one-line thing. Desquamation, commonly called skin peeling, is the shedding of the outermost membrane or layer of a tissue, such as the skin. The term is from the Latin desquamare, to scrape the scales off a fish.
Oh.
Freaking gross, dude.
But apt for this movie.
Yeah. I suppose so.
Desquamation. Impress your friends.
It's a good word.
I'd never heard it. Full transparency. This is a word I found today.
So as a person who's prone to sunburn, like next summer, can I just tell people that I'm desquamating and then not explain to them what it means?
You mean you haven't been doing it already?
Oh God, I'm feeling real desquamacious right now.
That might be pushing it, but Sophie's example totally works.
Oh, mug. What is it? Is that coffee gun there? Or what's?
A little tea.
Yeah. This is a very stout. It's a very tall mug.
It's a Starbucks, situation.
This has been Mug Talk.
Yes. John, it is February. Someone out there, some smart person has dubbed February Women in Horror Month.
I thought Joe came up with that.
Yeah, it was Joe. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Joe. He's always thinking, what can I do? What can I do to give back?
You guys never read the Patreon emails I sent out. I just dub different months, different things.
I do read them sometimes. What are you talking about?
I do actually read them, yeah. John, so I suggested this, directed by Catherine Bigelow, of course, who is now a big-time director. In the 80s, maybe not so much. I don't know. Maybe this was her start. But okay, Joe, I don't know what you're saying right now. But I hadn't seen this, and that's why I recommend it for the show. I'm pretty interested to talk about it. Do you want to tell us what you know about this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I know some things. I've seen it. So 1987 is the year. We should have played a game where I asked everybody what year this came out without anybody looking. I actually had thought that it was earlier than that, like before I went and looked. But yeah, it is 87. As you mentioned, I think it's actually Catherine Bigelow's second feature, if I remember. I'm checking that now. Yeah, she had a movie called The Loveless in 81. But this is, to your point, this is kind of the one that people remember for sure. Maybe there are people who remember The Loveless, but I'm not one of them. But yeah, she goes on Blue Steel, Point Break, Strange Days.
Oh, I forgot she did Point Break.
Yeah, well, that's like
wild.
Yeah. She's done it, and then she got it. She was in a real war period. Those are kind of the movie. So Hurt Locker, I think she won Best Director. That was Best Picture nominee. But yeah, Zero Dark 30, K-19, The Widowmaker. Anybody seen that? It's pretty sweet little movie. It's a submarine movie. No? Okay. But yeah, so I don't mean otherwise it's certainly not the first appearance of a lot of these actors, but it's a memorable appearance by a lot of folks who either had earlier
Like
runs as sort of character actors.
like a young Bill Paxton before he learned to turn it down to 9.
No, I do think for Bill Paxton, this has got to be. If it's not the thing that put him on the map, it's like.
Well, what about when was Aliens? Wasn't that around this time?
Yeah, 86. It might have been like.
It
a
was
year
before this because that's how a lot of like Lance Henriksen and everyone got in on
Oh,
this.
okay. And wasn't he in Weird Science too? That would have been around this time.
Chet.
Isn't he?
Chet,
He's the older
that
brother.
was a little. I would have guessed that was a little earlier, but you're right. It could have been around the same time.
Really.
This is the best. I mean, this is Bill Paxton. This is at the top.
I will say
list.
of all those movies I just named, he's the most tolerable in this one, I think. But we can get to it.
You're gonna put him in this higher than Twister, you guys?
No.
Wow.
I'm specifically
of those
talking.
80s
I'm
movies.
specifically talking pre. No, I love Twister. I'm talking pre 1990 Bill Paxton. It's like a different human being.
Okay.
But we'll talk about it.
Like Bill Paxton in Terminator when he has like the car tread down his face and he's a weird punk. You didn't like that, Bill Paxton? That was too much.
It's like he woke up one day and was like, "Oh, okay, now I know what I'm supposed to be doing."
Have you all ever heard the song Fish Heads? Roly Poly.
Yes.
No,
Bill Paxton directed the video for that song.
Really?
Yeah.
When he passed.
Who's even singing the song?
Oh,
That
dear.
song is horrifying. My local indie theater in KC did an outside screening of Twister over the summer. And whenever they do outdoor screenings, they do a little package beforehand. And Joe, they played that music video. And my dad used to sing it. So I had heard it before. And all my friends were like, why do you know this song? This is horrifying.
Yeah, it's not great. I listened to a lot of Dr. Demento growing up. That's where I heard it. Big fan.
Sophie, tell me what you thought of Near Dark. Had you seen this before?
I had seen this before. So I think I may surprise everyone by saying I'm actually not a huge fan of this movie.
Oh, Christ, you're here, Sophie.
I think it is totally fine. I don't think it's bad, but I remember when I first watched it, which was probably 5 or 6 years ago. This is probably not news to anyone in the universe. I am like a diehard, massive Lost Boys fan. So I remember watching this and just being like, yeah, this is Lost Boys, but like, I like it less, like way less. And I really, when y'all told me that you were going to do this movie this week, I was like, maybe I just didn't like it the first time because I was expecting something more like Lost Boys and it wasn't. And I really went into it this time, really wanting to enjoy it. And I just don't really like, there's lots of aspects of this movie that I appreciate. It looks really good. The directing is really great. The score is good. That's the majority of what I have to say about it. That's super positive. The rest of it's kind of like meh, but we'll get into it as we talk more about the movie.
All right, let's mix it up here. Casey.
So I love this movie. Probably not a surprise to everybody. I saw this when it first came out. I've watched this movie dozens of times over the years. This was like, I will grant you that part of my love for this movie is the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, because this is like one of the early ones when I was first just getting into horror movies and stuff that drew me back a lot of different times. So, but the thing that drew me in pretty much was something different done with vampires, the dreamy atmosphere with the score and everything. It just felt like somebody's nightmare, and when I first saw it, and it's always stuck with me. And I think the way that it's put together to ooze that atmosphere, it's got soft focus, it's got soft colors and everything, and it was just made it pretty fantasy-like for me back in the day. That and Lance Henriksen is a freaking beast in this movie. I love it.
Joe.
Yeah, I gotta go with Sophie, and maybe even more to the next level. I've watched this twice. The first time, I will fully admit I really wasn't paying that close attention, and I left it feeling kind of bored. And since then, I've seen like a ton of love for this. Like even when we were planning on watching this, like everybody seemed very excited. And, John was like, like doing stuff in his pants and whatever. So I sat down, like telling myself, all right, you're going to pay attention. You're not going to be distracted. You're not going to look at your phone. And like 20 minutes in, again, like and I mean this in no like disrespect, I don't get it. Like I don't get the love for this. Like, I mean,
Joe,
we
it's
talked
okay
about
to disrespect. Like we expect nothing less from you.
well, no,
so.
because I 100%, and I kind of explained this over email. I don't want this to be like Joe's being Joe. Like I really tried, guys. I really tried.
You're allowed to not like movies. It's okay.
But like, I don't know. Like we talked about the pacing, and I think John, you even mentioned that some people complain that the pacing's slow. I'm like, it's not. It doesn't get any better. Like it's just like that through the whole thing. And then there's so many like flaws in the script and like just the plot in
There's
general.
some we
Like,
can get into it. There's definitely some like leaps in logic going on here.
they're terrible vampires. Like I mean, Casey's point, like that they don't use the normal vampire tropes. Like I can see, but like the ones that they do hint at, they still don't use. Like we get the idea that they have like superhuman power, but they use that once, and then they just use guns for the rest of the movie. Like I'm not even sure why they had vampires in this. Like,
Yeah, that's not true. There's that sweet scene at the end where Bill Paxton rips open the top of that truck and just starts pulling shit out
I
of it. It's
guess,
kinda
but
cool.
like, does that even make a difference? Like, it doesn't do anything to the truck.
You know what's hilarious?
Yeah.
That truck is driving for a way. He has ripped out half the shit under that hood, and that truck is still going. And I'm just like,
Exactly.
that's not how cars
Made
work,
no
dude.
difference.
Yeah.
I joked about it over email, but like the more I thought about it, like they could have made these guys meth addicts and had the exact same movie. Like,
Yeah, but I think
you're
that's
scared of the sunlight.
yeah, but I think that's partially intentional. Is to kind of because that's kind of the way they're looked at by some of the people they run into is just like drug addicts.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got a stupid secluded Indiana question, but is meth that old?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Matt's been around a long
Yeah.
time, dude.
Okay,
Oh, it's old as time. Beauty and
I
the
didn't
Beast.
know.
Meth is old as time.
Oh my god.
John, Schnars, bring us back.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I don't know what Joe was referencing when he said I was doing things in my pants when we were talking about.
You were
so
visibly excited,
I
and you sent photos over email, John. Let's not.
of my pants. So I think this is the third time I've seen this. And I mean, despite what Joe says, I enjoyed it and like had positive memories of it, but I was actually pretty excited to sort of rewatch it. Again, to kind of like revisit maybe a little more critically. I still had a really good time. I think Casey kind of hit. I like the way you call it, sort of like dreamlike. I mean, it's basically like a love story that's like, it's a little weird. I mean, we already talked about the fact that they meet and they're like immediately in love.
She's a very toxic girlfriend.
No, literally. I mean, that's true. Well, and I mentioned over email, but I think someone who had maybe more time to think about this. There's a sort of Romeo and Juliet quality. I mean, she's literally from the other side of the tracks. But yeah, I like Catherine Bigelow. Like, so she goes on from here to have what I would actually call is mostly like an action movie directing career. And there's a lot of parts of this movie that are sort of just action movies. There's like a standoff sequence. There's cars running through walls. Like, there's just like crazy shit going on in this movie. But it's also like this kind of ethereal love story at the same time with this weird dream-like score.
Yeah.
It's set in a place that we don't see a ton of movies set. You'll see this referred to as a horror western sometimes. That's like I think that might be going a little too far. There's not that many sort of like western
There's
elements.
spurs, John. There's spurs.
Well,
and
there's like a
Yeah.
horse someone
There's
rides.
a horse,
do.
too.
I do very
Yeah.
much love this setting though for horror, like
No, but that's the thing. Like
Tremors style
it is
or like
unique.
Feast or something.
Well, and I think there's a lot of movies that come after this that you could point back to this and say, oh, well, that was Near Dark did that. So there are definitely flaws. 100% agree. And like we were talking about a remount, I definitely like noticed some of the stuff, like the plot turns basically on like the sun coming up and the vampires forgetting that like the sun is coming up. I mean,
So we joked about it. I'm
All
like,
the time.
yeah,
they
it's-
reference like being at the Chicago fire in the Civil War. Like I refuse to believe that these vampires have been
Well,
vampires for more than 3
Yeah,
months.
the problem
Like,
is they go to the well like 2 minutes. Like that should happen once in that movie. They should have like close calls, or no, they even shouldn't because they should be really on top of their shit, and there should be something extraordinary that happens in the third act. that throws
Yeah.
them off their game, and that's not what happened.
They're
And it's
very
shot in such a way that
ill-prepared
there's
for
lots
vampire
of
things.
instances. It's shot in such a way where like there's lots of instances where they're like, it's almost dawn, where it's already light outside. Like I don't understand. They are not clear on when the visual cutoff is for when the light will hurt them. So sometimes it's like fully almost daylight and they're like, oh no, now it's bad. And other
Totally.
times it's like the tiniest little sliver of light and they all burst into
McDonald's
flames.
is
It
putting out
doesn't
their
make
Yeah.
sense.
lunchtime
No, there
menu,
is
Well,
there is a problem with some of that internal logic. I had never seen this movie before, and I had started to see some like negative opinions of it on Slack, like mixed in with the kind of normal stuff you hear. Because by and large, this is held up as like a horror classic for sure. I mean, regardless of like the fact that that Catherine Bigelow was directing this in 1987 is like kind of crazy. Like I would just love to hear more about like how this movie got made, like her early career. Like she was really a trailblazer in a lot of ways, if just based on the time period that she was working in. It's also it's just part of the reason why I love this is like if you look at like other stuff that came out this year, it is so unique. Like it almost feels ahead of its time storytelling wise in a lot of ways. Because no, the
It
Lost.
literally came out the same year as the Lost.
Yeah, but I don't really
Boys.
get. But
I wanted to
I
come
really
back to that
don't
because-
understand. No. Listen, the Lost Boys is like the MTV hair metal version of vampires, whereas like this is not that at all. This is like a down and dirty like.
this
I
is
don't
the
even
sad
know.
cowboy version.
These are like
It's the
vagrant
method version.
vampires. You know what I mean? They're so
I mean-
to me, it's like I really like this movie. I agree that looked at through a modern lens, there's just a lot of inconsistent logic within the script that is kind of problematic. But to me, sets it apart for me, the score is incredible. This Tangerine Dream score is fantastic. It's like perfect for the setting. And there's so much atmosphere. It looks really good. Like I love the way she shot. She makes the dark so fucking dark, and it's exactly what you need to do. It almost like you can feel the oppressiveness in in these scenes, right? If anything, I wish it would almost focus more on the love story, because to me that's like the thematically strongest part of the movie, I think. Well, you can disagree with me, John. I'm just saying.
Thematically,
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
It's
more like
the strongest
the
through
action.
line or something. But
Yeah.
I don't care for 80s Bill Paxton, as we were talking about on the pre-show. I think he just like his knob was like permanently turned up to 11 when it needed to be just like it's like literally the clock struck
for me.
literally the clock struck 1990 and he was like, oh, acting, okay, I get it now. Like it's not just me coked up screaming at the camera. But
I love it. I loved him in this.
I
I
think
did too.
I like him more in this than I have liked some of his other 80s performances. I'm obsessed with Lance Henriksen in this movie. Other than the decision to give him disgusting long nails, which I'm always grossed out by and I don't want to see.
Did
Well,
you
that
see
was
that,
apparently his choice. He did
ponytail
that
he
as
had
part of his,
too? Like-
but
character thing.
I think he is legit scary in this movie. Like even for like a modern first time watch, I found him very frightening and menacing. I agree that the highlight of the movie is this bar scene where they just like straight up murder this bar and torch it. I think that the next transition of the third act is like a little wonky because it kind of slows down a crazy amount. But it just feels like a really unique movie to me. Like I cannot think, like she really nails the atmosphere and the dreamlike quality. And I totally get why for some, or even on like, if you catch it on the wrong day, it kind of can translate as being, having pacing issues. But man, it's just a super interesting movie to me.
So you're just for the record, Joe is wrong, is what you're saying. I just want
I
to.
I like
And
it.
Sophie.
I wouldn't say that Joe's wrong.
I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I think that
I just
Sophie
been-
might be biased in this conversation towards Lost Boys, and that is clouding her judgment.
Well, I will say I am looking through a bunch of movies that came out in 1987, and I do agree with you, Eric, that it like separated itself from those in that most of these are not extremely boring. Like there's
I swear to God,
Spaceballs, not
Joe.
Harry and the Henderson, not boring. So like it definitely is different from those.
Joe, I cannot describe to you the amount of self-loathing I feel when I allow myself to believe you're about to make a serious point for like 2 seconds. It makes me so
Another
mad
for
at
another
myself.
note, Can't Buy Me Love also came out in 1987. Almost the same plot, minus the vampires.
So I gotta say, like, to the accusation, like, yes, I'm 1000% biased in favor of the Lost Boys, but like, that movie is doing so many interesting things, and like there is a definitive narrative that is like chugging along forward that you can follow, whereas like also it's doing all kinds of crazy great stuff about like sexuality and gender, which is very wild and great for the time. So for me, when you watch this movie and it's like, okay, I don't feel super invested in this love story, because like if I could just take a second to talk about how creepy it is that he's literally like, okay, yes, I will take you home, but you have to kiss me first. And like
Right?
It was a
so much of their
little like
meet cute-
assaulty, right?
so much of their like meet cute is very horrifying and weird. Such like so that when he turned into a vampire and he was really mad, I'm like, that's what you get for making her do something she didn't want to do.
Well, so my read of the situation, so obviously I agree, but like she's, well, I don't know what the appropriate term is. Like she's basically like baiting someone to come approach her
Are
so
you
that she
saying
can.
she was asking for it,
Well,
John?
no,
Is-
because she wants to. She needs to feed. Like I thought that was her thing.
I think she needs to feed, but she liked him and like she didn't
Well,
want it to be him, but was like, all right, well, fuck
it-
it. If you're gonna
so
do this,
that's
let's do it.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is like the game she's playing is she was trying to pick somebody up or trying to get someone to pick her up so that she could kill them, but then she like falls in love with him. But this is where
But
where
this
the,
is my
like,
point,
relationship-
But
like, I
also,
think-
he
I think
doesn't
that
know
once-
any of that, her body language is that she doesn't want to kiss him, and he's
Yeah,
like, "You have to
she
kiss me, or I
wants
won't
to
take
go
you
home.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah.
But like moving past that, that's
I
kind of
get
what I
that.
mean by like it seems like it should be the thematic through line of the movie. The problem is it kind of disappears for chunks of the movie, which then leaves it kind of like, and you know, to be fair, sometimes it's for scenes like this bar scene, which is pretty fantastic. Like I feel like it needs a little more of this guy trying to decide what he wants to do. He's kind of like an empty vessel. Like it's like it's like, are you going to be a vampire or not? Let's have some conversation so I know where your head's at. Because literally, it's like it almost doesn't happen in the whole movie.
But that to
the
me,
movie, it's like, what are the stakes? The whole movie, the
Yeah.
conflict seems to be, we can't decide if he's going to be one of us, and this is his last chance. And then he messes up, and they're like, okay, we'll give him one more chance, but this
One
is his
more
last chance.
time.
And I'm like,
he does
of
save
any
them.
of any of this.
He saves them pretty dramatically, so that is like what kind of keeps him.
Yeah, but at that point, they'd already told him like, we're going to kill you so many
Yeah.
times. I just didn't care anymore.
All right,
Every time they
let's-
said like, you're messing up, we're going to kill you, I didn't believe that.
Sophie, what were there like any sequences in this movie that you did like?
Yeah, so I love the bar sequence. The bar
Yeah.
sequence is phenomenal. I mean, Bill Paxton
Yes.
slitting a man's throat with his spurs is amazing.
Yes.
It's great. Another thing that I really, really enjoy about this movie that I think is like probably one of the most famous shots of this movie is the group of them coming over the crest of the hill when they're backlit.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know how many of you are familiar with, there's a Twitter account called One Perfect Shot that just picks like perfect screen grabs from movies. Like, I would print that and put it on my wall. It looks beautiful.
Everything in this
I
movie
wish
is lit
the rest
really
of
well.
the movie was as interesting as that static image. But it isn't for me.
The point I was going to make about and to the criticism of it being interesting, the dramatic tension, I totally agree that there's like a real issue with the relationship being this kind of like through line, and it's where for me, like, and I mentioned this earlier, I think that the easiest way to enjoy this movie is almost to think of it as an action movie where there is this like 80s romance, you know, with Tangerine Dream score, and then there's these like segments, like she's basically like trying to get to these set pieces, the standoff with the
Yeah.
cops outside and the car drives to the wall, the bar scene, the scene at the end is basically like a scene out of Terminator or Terminator 2. I think it's the second one, right, with the tractor trailer. You know, I mean, so there's to me, like, it is a little wonky. The fact that it works at all is a testament to the direction in my mind, right? Because it's held together through sort of the art direction and the score and the consistency of the performances. But the script
I think
is
the
like,
I
it's
think the
wonky
effects are really great too. I like this.
Yeah.
I like this affectation of like the smoke pouring off of them. I mean, it works better if it's a little more consistent, but it is a cool kind of visual. They're just walking around like sizzling.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny. I think if you made this movie in modern times, like it totally would be way more focused on the romance. But they also, I think that just because like written through a much more like postmodern lens or something, they would be so much more laser focused on making sure all these details were consistent. Just because I feel like you have to nowadays, because stuff is so dissected by people like us sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
guess,
also
how old were you, John and Casey, when you first saw this? Like, I'm not even like being a dick here. Like, I'm legit curious.
probably high school for me. I think I
Really?
watched this like when I was working at the video store. It was like one of, I would rip through all the.
And you
Like-
loved, like, I can't really watch it now. I can't even see me tolerating like a half an hour of this when I was like a teenager.
I mean, Joe,
Yeah.
like I don't know. That blows me. Like I had never seen it. It's not. I don't.
I probably saw it like when I was 13 or 14, so probably shortly after it came
Joe,
out.
here's
and
an
maybe
important
even seen
question.
it then,
Joe,
and it gave my adolescent self weird feelings.
Joe, I have an important question. Were you still in dry January when you watched this?
No, actually, no. We're out. We dove out quickly.
What's
Gotcha.
it's the opposite. It's like freaky February.
My brother keeps calling it
Wet
wet
February.
February.
Ooh.
Wet
Oh.
February. Yes.
Yeah,
Gross.
I don't like it.
Soppy February.
No, I think Eric, there might be like my guess is too on this sort of scripting and the way that this thing got put together. It comes in at like almost exactly 90 minutes.
Dude, I
like
got
it's
so
definitely
excited.
but they were dialing it in to
tight.
90, and my guess is there was probably stuff that
Extra
was in the
dialogue and
original
like
script.
character stuff. Yeah, most likely cut for
So-
the sake of the action.
Can I make a point, because this kind of came up earlier, talking about the way that it's sort of like blending Western and horror is interesting because, at least according to IMDb trivia, now it's like Wikipedia, like anybody can add it. But I was trying to read IMDb trivia to see if it would make anything more, it would make me feel more emotionally attached to this film. But one of the things
It's
they
dark.
talk about is that both Eric Red, who co-wrote this with Catherine Bigelow, and Catherine Bigelow wanted to make a Western movie, but decided to add horror elements because horror was popular at the time and it would make the movie more commercially popular. And to me,
What does that
like,
mean?
I
What
wonder
does that
if
look like
for
without
me,
it?
that's why it doesn't work. Because to me, like, they don't, I like the action sequences and all the vampire stuff. And I tell you, I don't like Western movies, but I just, like, I can't stand the slow pacing of this and the sort of, like, meandering in between.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing
cool
that
action stuff.
I do think like if it caught me in a weird mood, I might not have liked it, but I enjoyed the like weird dreamy kind of like pace of it.
Yeah.
I think what Cece's saying is the vampires in this are pretty much the Fergie.
Joe, what
of
was
the,
that?
Joe?
Who did you just call Sophie Cece, Joe?
Did I say Cece?
You sure did.
Uh-oh.
Anyway.
Go on.
it's not the first time that's happened. Let's just be clear.
That's great, Joe.
What? Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was making a stupid point about.
You were comparing it to Fergie, though, which I appreciate.
Yes. No, I think there was the Black Eyed Peas before Fergie, and there was this movie before they decided to make it a horror movie to make it commercially successful. So really, the horror element is you three liking the Fergie version
Joe,
of the Black Eyed Peas. Sophie and I being more hip hop purists.
Joe,
and
I would like
enjoying the
you.
original.
Urinating on
Joe, I would
ourselves
like you to
public, is
participate in
what
this
Joe's saying.
discussion. Joe, I'd like you to participate in this discussion by telling me something you enjoyed about this movie.
I mean, I'll agree. Like, I thought the bar scene was probably the most interesting of the whole thing.
Well, let's break it down because I feel like we all largely agree that that's the best part. Like, John, why do you say
Yeah.
that's the best part of the movie?
Well, so I've already been on record that I really enjoy sort of swaggering Bill Paxton. I think the scene is just put together really well, right? Because you don't know why they're going in there, though it becomes like sort of clear, pretty quickly. But they're it's the first time you see them be truly sort of menacing,
Scary. Yeah.
and like physically, scary. Like they're violent in a way that it's a
Well,
little shocking.
It's a slow tension unroll of like you don't know if their intention is to just murder everybody or if they're even looking for a fight. Like maybe they just want a beer, dude. You don't know. Like
Yeah.
even in the
Yeah.
beginning when it's
Well-
really just Paxton fucking with that dude, you don't know if he's just a dick because he's a Bill Paxton. Like
And
you're
he's
not
trying
sure.
to cause problems for Caleb, is what you are assuming at that point.
Right.
Mhm.
And I also liked like once the first person gets killed, and is it Paxton that kills her, or is it the woman?
I think it's the waitress that
Doesn't
gets
the
It's the
woman,
waitress,
dude?
yeah.
That scene where she cuts her
Jess
throat
slashes her neck.
so they can fill the glass with blood. That shit that's crazy.
Yeah.
But what I
it's
love is
pretty
that
grim.
all the humans in the bar freeze. Like it's a
Yeah.
quiet scene, which is really interesting. Like everyone freezes in fear, and then it's them just kind of going around working the room and like killing people
Well,
individually.
the bartender's great because he's trying to maintain some level of like order, or like he's like gonna be a hero. You know, he gets the gun out, but you know he's just fucked from the beginning. So that you know, there's tension insofar as you're kind of like, oh boy, like how is this gonna unravel? But I think that actor does a really good job with it too.
It's
See,
interesting.
for me, especially with that scene, a lot of people might call this a horror western and stuff, and I understand that. You got Adrian Pasdar in a cowboy hat and the setting of it. They're all out in the middle of cornfields and stuff like that. I get it. When I was a kid, first saw this, and every time I've watched it since, the biggest thing is those vampires always seem kind of punk rock to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching them go into this bar seemed at the time was a very punk rock thing to do. They're going in there to cause mischief, chaos, havoc, and they're toying with them. And that's what always sucked me into that scene.
Oof, you just pissed on Joey Ramone's grave, Casey.
Well, no, listen. Here's
did
the
you guys
interesting thing, though,
recognize-
because they're like iconic characters. Like I've never seen the movie until now, but I've seen these characters on shirts and like art and all kinds of stuff for my whole like internet life. And watching it, I see why. Like in particular, Lance Henriksen and the blonde lady whose name I don't know. Is like
Diamondback.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be her for Halloween.
Dude, well, that's
Her
what I'm
outfit
saying.
was awesome.
Yeah, like the clothing and design on them, like they all look like comic book characters, and that to me, like that iconic design of it is something that is
it's very like Mad Maxy.
yeah.
Diamondback was the stepmom in Terminator. She was.
Yes, she
Terminator
was.
2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I guess
I was
Terminator
gonna
2.
say that the guy that Bill Paxton picks a fight with in the bar is the guy that Schwarzenegger picks a fight with at the beginning of Terminator 2 in the biker bar.
Yes,
And is like,
yeah,
I
can
want your
see that.
clothes. It's the same guy.
I
That poor guy's
really,
just got shit licked with bars.
I really,
Well,
I
he's
really
dead,
like that.
Apparently, I looked him up on IMDb. He died when he was like 48.
Damn.
Well, yeah,
Really got to
I
bring this
saw
down, huh?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, not great.
I
to him.
really like that as being typecast
the
though. Like
documentary.
you look like a dude who's in a bar, but then like a bigger dude's gonna come in and kick your ass. So like, can you? I like that.
How about really quick? Because the thing I noticed when I was doing a little research earlier, so Jenny Wright plays May. She's probably my least favorite of the main vampire. I mean, whatever. We already talked about the relationship and whether or not it works. But
They
that
don't-
actress, I felt like I'd like seen her and stuff. She hasn't worked since like she like basically kind of gave up acting. It looks like.
They don't really give
But do you know
her-
what she was in?
What?
Well, I was looking. I didn't know which.
She was in Lawnmower Man.
She was Lawnmower
Oh,
Man.
yeah, okay.
I
I did see it. That it was on the.
What is
the
she?
list.
Who is she in Lawnmower Man?
She's the sultry neighbor. I will go to bat for her.
Oh.
And
Oh yeah, and then he did he?
I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
he
Yeah,
he
14-year-old Casey was a big fan.
Joe, you mean the
She was-
lady he gets married to after he shaves his whole body
Yeah,
except his arms?
yeah, in the unedited version, she was also the brothel owner in Young Guns too.
Oh.
I was a fairly large fan of her.
No, I see.
in her
Yeah,
day.
she's cute. She's cute. I mean, they don't give her enough to really work with here, and they also like they give her dialogue that makes her sound like she's not all with it or something. Like was watching this with Elizabeth and we were laughing because she literally every 5 seconds is like, "Can you feel the dark? It's so dark. Feel the night. No, the night. Feel the night.
Listen to the dark.
It's so
Listen-
cold. The night. Like it's just like I get it. It's the night. It's dark. It's cold. Can we like what are we talking about here?
It's very interesting because she seems very happy being a vampire, and not to. I guess we can talk about the ending. Like this guy changes her without asking her. Like,
Yeah,
I almost expected the ending for her to wake up and be like, "Wait, what the fuck did you do?"
I'm gonna get old and die now? Like what the hell, dude?
So that.
Oh, also
you're
you
hitting-
killed my family. But see that really quick, John. Sorry.
No.
She was the first one to jump out of that car into the sunlight. The first one in that scene. She somehow survives and is fine when everyone else exploded.
Well, he covers her up with like a blanket, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
but,
He covers
but
her with
at
a
other
jacket.
scenes in the movie, characters with blankets, the blanket and the clothes go on fire. So like
She's
it's
in a
just-
shadow of love.
there are scenes.
She's not the romantic interest.
There are
Eric.
scenes where they're using blankets and the blanket sets on fire, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Their clothes are not vampires; they are.
That's
So-
not how this works.
No, it's not.
I think we do need to. Let's talk for a couple minutes about the end, because to me, the ending of this movie is actually like. It's not that it borderline ruins it, but the way. So it's interesting that Sophie was saying that this was like written not as a horror movie, and it sort of makes sense because like they basically like inject vampires into it, and then they were like, oh shit, we got to figure out a way to like get the vampires out of this movie.
Right.
And so it turns out to not be a vampire anymore, you need like, I don't know, like a pretty small transfusion of blood from like, well, so Caleb
From your
gets
farmer dad?
Yeah,
Well-
no, his dad's a veterinarian.
Oh,
I think he's a vet.
I wondered.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed
Oh,
that.
is he?
I missed
Alright.
that detail. I wonder where all this like medical. And by the way, like there was no alcohol used that I saw. Like this was very
Oh.
Oh,
like
he's a
he might not be a
vampire.
vampire.
Does a vampire have a blood type?
Well, like he might not be a vampire anymore, but he definitely has tetanus, which he's gonna need
Yeah,
to check
exactly.
out.
And is it cow blood that gets put in him?
No,
like
it
what
was his
blood
dad's.
goes in?
It's his
He had his
dad's,
dad's
blood.
blood. That was my.
Here's the thing, and back to the romance point. If you're gonna make Romeo and Juliet with vampires in a western, one or both of them has to die. Otherwise,
no,
like,
well,
what are we
I
doing?
mean,
here?
that's where the Romeo and Juliet stuff falls apart, obviously.
Right.
But no, but like, so the place I was gonna go is like, if it was that easy to not be a vampire, like those other vampires. So, I mean, Lance Henriksen had been in it so long, he definitely wouldn't have gotten out. But like the kid, Homer, who we had
Oh.
not even talked about, and is weird as
Can't.
fuck in this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
let's
very
please
strange.
talk about that because I have a lot of feelings about that story.
I have
He's-
disliked
he-
him since like as long as I can remember.
So Joe, that's my point where I will come together with you tonight, which is that I also hated that little kid. It's
Yeah.
like anytime when you're asking a little kid to pretend that he's old, it almost never works because it just does not
It's
work.
very weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he
but
was
it's
so
still
with,
made that-
with the exception of Interview with the Vampire,
Mm.
where Kirsten Dunst is pretty good.
Homer
Valid point.
luring the guy's sister into the hotel room was pretty creepy.
It
though.
was weird.
That was horrifying.
That whole
Yeah.
scene
He was,
was
an adult man, and he's
Exactly.
like, I'm gonna possess
no, yeah,
this
I mean-
child.
It was scary. Like if the intention was for it to be scary, it was working. But my point is like he was so unhappy as a vampire that you would think if it was that easy, and one of them would they would have figured that out. I don't know.
Someone throughout the history of time must have figured this out before these country bumpkins.
Well, so the argument might be that the reason there's not more vampires is that it has been figured out, but these folks have all decided that they're not gonna.
it's just
know.
weird
Well,
that
that's- yeah.
again, when I talk about modern movie scripts, right? A modern version of this, someone that would have been mentioned offhand at some point as like
Yeah,
some kind of
Hey, if you ever want to
setup.
stop being a vampire, just get a blood
right.
transfusion.
But there has to be. You can't just guess that works and then have it work, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't work.
Yeah. You got to at least build up the tension that it's not going to work, right? Like they put the blood into him and then they're all sitting around chewing their fingernails and stuff. Oh, God, it's not going to work. And then eventually he
No,
groggily comes
Dude,
out.
it's so weird and anticlimactic how quickly that plays out.
Yeah.
It comes.
He
together
just gets
super
up.
quick.
By the
Whereas
way,
here
it
he's
also
like, hey, I'm back.
it also seemed to clean all the dirt off of him, which was so took
Well,
me by
that was
surprise.
that was the desquamation. It was my understanding.
Oh,
Uh,
does-
So,
No, they
don't you
were-
think he'd heal slower if he wasn't a vampire?
He
like
got-
it should have stayed for longer once he turned human.
John, you're saying he got desquamed? Is that what you're saying?
He got no, he got desquamed.
Oh yes, yes,
Desquamed.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. He
I
got
just,
he got
I don't know. If
he got-
someone's gonna turn me back, I would like to have some sort of conversation. Like
he got
it's this guy-
resquamed, is what you're saying.
forcing himself on this woman, deciding what's gonna happen with the rest of her life with zero conversation.
No, that
Yeah.
look,
He's
that-
murdering
that's-
her.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
In
'cause
slow
she was
motion.
obviously, yeah, but she was pretty obviously happy with her life.
Sophie, by those
up to that
standards, we're
point.
all slowly murdering each other every day.
None of us were, as far as I know, none of us were
I
unkillable to
guarantee,
begin
like,
with.
as their relationship like went further, she did not have access to their bank account. Like that's
I mean,
it's obvious.
it's just interesting. Like, I almost wonder if maybe that was a studio thing. Who knows? Like, it seems such like the natural thing for them to have a really emotional moment while he watches her die. Although the problem is that they have set up in this universe that when a vampire dies, it friggin' explodes like you shove dynamite up its ass. So, like, that kind of ruins your romantic, like, you're dying in my arms ending.
Well, the Romeo and Juliet ending, it's not exactly Romeo and Juliet, but Diamondback and Lance, what was Lance Hendrickson's guy's name?
Jesse.
Jesse.
Yeah.
They have that moment because they're
They
like
just
Yeah.
holding
casually
hands,
burn.
riding.
Dude,
Yeah.
They're
the,
like driving directly into the sun.
the
basically.
explosions are so ridiculous. And it is, John, like, it does really want to be an action movie, but there's this other thing at the heart of it that just feels in conflict with that sometimes, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, it's
The
like
whole
it's an
atmosphere.
audition for Point Break, right? In some ways,
Yeah.
like so.
it really is to me a very good looking movie that has an amazing score. Like I just technically I love everything about how this is set up. I just wish the script was a little tighter, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Yeah, but it was great.
Forks
So it's
are the-
great when you're in that period where you're just kind of cruising through cable channels late at night or something, at least back in the day, which is probably how I found it. And you're cruising through, you come across this, it's like, oh, this looks weird. What is this? And then next thing you know, you're kind of sucked in. It's that kind of movie where you're just kind of letting yourself get drawn into it and not picking it apart. It's a lot more enjoyable.
No, I agree that if I had seen this when I was younger, that it would have stuck out to me.
Can I make one more point? Because I would be remiss not to say this. That just like, because it is Women in Horror Month, and I really like wanted to go. I really tried to like this movie. I feel like Joe. I was like, listen, I'm really gonna try with this movie, even though I have already watched it and didn't like it. I found if you take, I mean, just like, listen, I get it. It was 1987. We are living in a different time, but the entire setup of their relationship is so troubling because it's not just where it starts, right? It's not just that he is like, if you don't kiss me, I won't take you home. It's then that he refuses to feed. So he'll only feed by making her kill someone and then drinking her blood, which is putting her in danger of dying. And he doesn't seem to feel that bad about it.
And I would say those off.
And then he makes her a human without asking. Like, he's just trash the whole way through.
And those types of dynamics were like, especially through the lens of the last couple of years, there's a huge amount of problematic stuff in this era of movies. Like it's not just horror, right?
I was gonna say, this is actually like low on the end.
Yeah,
of
no,
things
totally.
That have problematic.
No, for sure. But like, especially coming from a female writer and being held up as like great women in horror movie.
Well,
and I'm not saying that's you guys. Like, I think this movie does have a really good reputation within the horror community and constantly gets put on lists of like best horror movies, scariest horror movies.
But also,
I mean, it's definitely John. John definitely said that this is like.
The other thing, Sophie, though, is especially like for all we know, as like a woman directing in this era, like, I mean, anybody directing this era who was young was going through tons of levels of studio bullshit, like rewrites and re-edits.
I'm not saying that she's like responsible for the finished product.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the other things I saw when I was perusing the IMDb trivia is that when she showed up to direct, the producer, who was a man, was like, I will give you 5 days, and if you fuck anything up, I'm getting somebody else.
That's crazy.
So, like, obviously, she was under an immense amount of pressure. I'm not trying to put this on Catherine Bigelow, but
Sophie, isn't you saying you don't like this movie? Isn't that a step towards equality? That you can say you don't like it, even though it was directed by a woman.
Don't you feel great that you're allowed to dislike it, Sophie?
You seem
I've never really felt the need to, but I see what you're saying.
You seem uncomfortable
I've never really
saying
felt the need to like stuff just because women do it.
You seem uncomfortable saying that you don't like it. That's why I say that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just because I really like Catherine Bigelow. So like, I really want to like this movie because I feel like she's
100% get what you're saying. Like, I really wanted to also like. I sat down and I'm like, I'm gonna look at this through a different lens. I'm gonna appreciate it, and then I don't know. We watched it, and here we are.
No, and for real, like Sophie, your point about the producer, like I cannot imagine what it was like for her to do this in the setting that she was in, like in the culturals, and like
for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it was very much not fun.
And she's listed as a writer, but we don't know, like the other writer's a dude, so I don't know how much of the writing of the script she actually did. Like, I don't know how accountable it's fair to hold her.
I mean,
for
she may have had she may have had like an idea phase or a draft that was then rewritten by like 20 other people or something, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I give her credit for all the good parts. And like, look, she's got to eat some of the bad parts too, though. That's just how it is.
Yeah, blame all the bad stuff on the dude. I've never heard of him
Like,
anyway.
have these vampires never heard of watches? Like, this
Leslie and I had that conversation.
Get your listen. This was the '80s. Yeah. Get yourself a Swatch. Set it.
Casio.
Set an alarm.
Set an alarm for like 3 a.m. Give yourself like a good 2 hours to get home before the sun comes up. It's like that's the funny part is they have been around for hundreds of years. How have they
fucking steal everything or freaking steal everything? So why not a watch?
Why would you stay in Kansas? Why would you stay there? You have forever to live, and you decide to go there.
No, Joe, I
As a
also was-
Missourian, I will agree with that sentiment.
I was also this made me think of 30 Days of Night because I was just like, why wouldn't you go somewhere where there's just like, you know,
Yeah.
you don't got to worry about the sun as much.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good point. Well, John, it
Where-
took
Where
to
do I wanna
like
spend
with more
eternity? How about a
shade
fucking
at
field?
minimum.
yeah, well, more shade. Yeah, more shade. That's a good call.
Yeah, or like anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, John, there were.
It was
Go ahead, Sophie.
really cool because I am like a diehard Buffy fan. That for sure, Buffy stole the aesthetic, or borrowed the aesthetic to pay homage to this movie. I'm hoping of like Spike is always running around under a burlap blanket, like smoking whenever he's outside in the sun,
interesting.
and he always drives around in a car with like tinfoil and black spray paint over the windows. And I didn't catch that
Well,
parallel when I watched
they
this the
have
first time,
that-
so that was enjoyable.
They have that like sick like van in the beginning with like the tint and the windows covered, and it's like they got their shit together, and then I don't even remember what something happens to it, and then they're just in
They just
shambles.
decided
Well,
to
they-
burn it.
They're
no,
in
they
shambles
they,
the rest
they
of the
were
movie.
seen abducting Caleb, and they knew that the dad had like called the cops, and so
Right.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
But like they have a complete inability to bounce back from losing that van.
there's
No.
there's a lot of scenes in this movie which
Like,
I like.
you guys built it
of-
the first time, just do it again.
But I love they're just like driving these big cars through like what don't even look like roads. There's just like it's like
The
through like
desert.
dirt
It's just like
patches.
dirt fields.
Yeah.
There's a
Find
lot
another
of dirt
fucking
in this
RV.
movie.
There's got to be more than one in Kansas. Like,
Yeah. I don't know.
And they're always waiting until the sun is already coming up
Yeah.
to black the windows out. Like they've been driving all night, but they really needed the view. And now
Yeah.
that it's like already
that like
noon, they
mouth
have to
breather
cover the
kid just tries to
windows.
spray paint a window. Like, oh, this is gonna work, right?
But he stops. Like, keep going, dude. You can't just do like a blob in the middle. Like, I don't.
Well, what exactly did Homer think he was going to do at the end, too, when he went flying out of the car? He was like half a mile away. He knew he wasn't going to make it.
No, he was
That-
Really
that was-
wanted that girl. It was really.
I mean,
upsetting.
what did
That
these people
kid-
do before cars? Because they've been around before cars. Like, what? How did they do this before?
I refuse to
in
believe
caves,
that
I
like
assume.
l- a year minimum those people had been vampires. Like,
Your minimum.
Missouri is the cave state. They started
Yeah.
here and then they went over to
Right.
Kansas once they got cars.
I mean, the
Yeah.
caves
But
were
the look-
still there, right? Like, they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, but they don't need caves
Yeah, but
now.
they-
They have cars and tinfoil.
they
It's not
can't stay
helping.
in one place because they're killing lots of people. Like every night they're killing
Well, that's
people.
I mean, and that's my question about the bar scene. Is like for people trying to lay low, bro. This is not laying low. You just
no,
laid
they're
waste
they're
to
like
this place.
wreaking havoc.
yeah. But let's get to recommendations because we've just spent an hour talking about why this movie's dumb and like how it doesn't make any sense. But you three tell us why we should go watch it.
Joe, why are you so salty tonight? Jesus. Good lord. All right, Joe, what did you think of this movie? Would you recommend it, friend?
No, literally Google 1987 movies and watch everything else before this.
Sophie.
I would say if you want to watch a great vampire movie from 1987, I would watch Lost Boys.
I don't listen.
Fun
I'm not gonna.
fact.
I don't argue that point with you.
Fun fact, the little kid Homer, who's in this movie, is the younger brother of Jason Patrick, who was the lead guy in Lost Boys. So
Wait,
You are full of fun.
he's
facts.
like
Wow.
Corey Haim's younger.
I
young-
read the IMDb trivia.
He's Corey Haim's like younger brother, or is he? Is he
He's Michael, the one who starts to turn into a
Yikes.
vampire. Spoiler alert for Lost
If
Boys.
that isn't in like Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger twins. Like,
I'm lost. You're gonna have to
I
explain
think
this
it's
to
his
me later.
younger brother. I don't think they're
yeah,
identical.
but still, like that guy got the short end of the stick on the looks department.
Oh, he's his brother. Oh, he's okay. Okay, he's his brother in life, not in the movie.
in real life, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
In real
Confused.
life, I don't think these movies exist in the same universe. In the Lost Boys, the vampires bleed glitter. Do I need to say anything else?
Listen,
Well,
it's a
they
good-
also do vampire shit.
It's a
like-
great. It's a great motion picture. I'll agree with you there. John, would you recommend Near Dark?
Yeah, I'm going yes.
Casey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a yes too. I think you got to know you're getting into like a weird kind of slow burn with some issues, but I like it. I completely understand why this is like considered a cult classic. I think Joe just needs a drink.
No, I still don't. but-
I don't know why you guys are acting like Joe is the lone voice of dissent.
No, because you're dissenting like a normal person. Joe is like this
Joe's
is
salty
about as
about it.
angry as Joe ever gets on this show.
You guys knew I was a thug when I got into this.
If you really want to appreciate the aesthetic of this movie, just like look at that picture of them walking over the pill and then watch Lost Boys.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
I've only seen Lost Boys once, and I don't remember liking it as much as this.
John,
Now I'm
you
gonna have to go
should
back.
Joe.
remedy that.
John.
No, I'm
Go
gonna have to
read
go
No,
watch
this
it.
is-
article
Yeah,
about it in Grimm.
Lost
I
Boys.
say this with the utmost respect, John. You are an asshole.
Lost Boys is absolutely a better movie than this. And Joe, you almost just made me choke to death. That was pretty good. All right,
Hey,
guys.
there's another fun bit of IMDb
Casey,
trivia.
we gotta
Homer
stop.
wrote
We gotta stop.
Homer wrote the Final Girls.
Ah.
The kid?
Really?
Yeah.
Wild.
What the fuck?
I love that
All right.
movie, and I did not
Guys,
see
we
that.
gotta stop this before it ruins the show forever. All right, let's do some fan mail.
Cujo? Novel by Stephen King, creator of Carrie and The Shining, comes a chilling new tale.
Cujo.
Now, there's a new name for terror. Cujo, directed by Louis Teague. Rated R. Now playing. Check newspapers for a theater near you.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Kinmont from Halloween 4 and Bride of Reanimator, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. All right. In search of some very dry, non-controversial topics to get this back on board. February is Women in Horror Month. Sophie, you want to talk about Women in Horror Month a little bit?
Yeah. So 2021, this is the 12th Women in Horror Month. It was set up as sort of like a grassroots initiative that has people who are involved in it sort of all over the world to try to encourage and promote horror that is made by women, and that's horror movies and games and books and stories. It's sort of throughout the genre. So they actually have a website, womeninhorrormonth.com. The folks that sort of run Women in Horror Month generally, they have a blog called The Axe Wound, and then they also do a film festival. So yeah, they are a great site, and they keep
That
a list
is-
every February of like what?
That is a name for a blog.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, own the misogyny and turn it back around.
I gotcha.
So yeah, and then they have like a database where they keep sort of like event stuff, because they encourage folks to have their own like smaller film festivals and watch parties and discussions and things like that. So there's a ton of resources on their website. I also noticed that this year they're selling Women in Horror Month masks.
Oh, that's great.
If you wanna do that, since none of us can show our faces outside currently.
That's true.
But yeah, it's womeninhorrormonth.com has a lot of the info and resources.
I love it. So for Women Horror Month, we, as we announced last week in the show, we have a new shirt design. It has a, I would call it a pink logo, but it's more like a mauve. I don't know what you'd call it. John, what do you think? And what we're doing for Women Horror Month is this whole month, anything you buy in our store, we are donating the proceeds to RAIN. Sophie, you were one of our writers who helped us pick this charity. Do you want to just talk briefly about RAIN?
Yeah. So RAIN is a really awesome organization that sort of does a lot of different things. So I would recommend, if you're interested in them at all, that you look them up. But, and I'm going to get the acronym wrong, it is the Rape, Abuse, Incest, Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they
good.
have a lot of resources for survivors of abuse and assault. they are an organization that I became familiar with because Cameron Esposito often does, like when she does stand-up specials or something, she won't charge money, but will request that you donate to RAINN in order to watch her specials and stuff like that. But they're a great organization that has a lot of resources. Like I said, if you are a survivor and need those resources, or if you are someone who cares about someone who has gone through this and need resources, because a lot of folks don't know how to handle people in their lives that have experienced sexual abuse or in any form. So they're a great organization.
Yeah, they're a great organization. They're doing a lot of great things. And if you want to get this shirt, it is or anything in our store, you can go to shirts.bloodygoodhorror.com, and that will forward you straight to our TeePublic store. You can get any of the designs in there. You'll see the new one when you go there, and whole month of February, all the proceeds are going to RAINN. Yeah, so check that out. Oh, Sophie, you want to talk about Tweet with BGH quick?
Yes. So in honor of the fact that the internet absolutely exploded over the Kong versus Godzilla trailer, we're doing all related films for the next couple weeks. So on this past Saturday, we watched the original King Kong. Sunday the 14th, so for Valentine's Day, if you need an idea of what to do with your significant other or just like treat yourself for Valentine's Day, we're doing the original Godzilla film from 1954. That's going to be at 2 p.m. on Sunday, Valentine's Day. So you still have time for a date afterwards if you're trying to do that. And on the 27th of February, we're doing the original King Kong versus Godzilla from 1963. And that'll be back at our regular time, so 7 Eastern. But if you want information, you can, if you're a patron, there's a Slack channel you can jump in. And if you're not a patron, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at BGH New Class Live, and I am usually on top of things as far as posting what the next movie is going to be.
Love it. Tweet with BGH. Joe, I did want to mention quick, we had some great response to the new shirt design. People are already starting to get their first batch in. Posting on Slack.
Yeah, we had, within the first week, we had a ton of sales. I don't have the number in front of me, but like big response.
And the last day or two, I know, like I saw Whitney post yesterday, her shirt came in. They look awesome. Like it's printing really nice. So I'm excited.
We are, if you become a Patreon, we also have a discount code just for this month. So, sign up.
Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You can also get the pre-show, which is where John and I had a love spat today. That's what I'm choosing to call it.
I almost forgot about it already.
Good. So after this, like when we go to bed, are you going to give me the silent treatment or?
Am I giving you the silent treatment right now?
No, you're acting. We're in public now. I'm wondering what it's going to be like.
You guys got to text each other a little
right.
XOXO before bed.
No, I'm definitely not texting you before bed.
Love you, buddy. Joe.
Yes, sir.
You know what's coming up, Joe?
Oh, the Romance Eve.
Valentine's Day. A day for lovemaking, you might say.
A day and night, Eric. It's potentially my favorite holiday because, as you know, I enjoy the carnal pleasures.
I don't know what you get up to, but you might want to hydrate is all I'm going to say. Joe,
I think you know what I get up to.
If somebody's...
I think you're well aware.
What's a good way that somebody could prepare for this type of evening?
If you're looking for what the kids would call a fluffer or foreplay or, something just to get you in the mood, might I suggest cameo.com/BGHorror. And there you can request a video of me just, maybe laying out what you might want to do for the evening. Maybe giving suggestions, new positions, pleasures and tastes and touches that you might never have enjoyed in the past.
Joe, might I suggest maybe some mise-en-scene? Like, could we get like a bear skin rug for you to lay out on or something?
I was gonna say maybe you just want to see Joe laying out.
Like I would like to see you giving this type of encouragement and advice in some type of very sexy setting. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, there's a fireplace in my house. Things can happen. Or if you want to get out of this relationship before Valentine's Day, so you don't have to buy a gift or anything, I'm happy to break up with your significant other. Just let me be a part of whatever you're doing. Like, and $5. I mean,
Guys,
if
here's
you want,
the secret. It's about Joe feeling loved. Okay, so let's.
It honestly is. Like, this is therapeutic for me. Like, I need this more than you guys. So just.
And I'll be, just to throw my hat in the ring, I would like, if anybody does this, I would love nothing more than to play in the show a cameo of Joe trying to prep someone's loved one for Valentine's Day.
So yeah, cameo.com/BG horror. Just I'm here for you. I'm here to help.
Love it. Info at Bloody Good. Oh, so that's Cameo. Yeah, cameo.com. You can check that out. We got an email from Andy about the website, info at bloodygoodhorror.com. Sophie, Luke, and Andy have been reviewing some of the genre offerings of this year's Sundance Film Festival. You can check out all that coverage at bloodygoodhorror.com. A few special mentions include Coming Home in the Dark, Censor, and Ben Wheatley's latest, In the Earth. Lastly, Adam has a new In Extremis discussing genocide tribunals in a recent Golden Globe nominee, La Llorona. That sounds like an Adam kind of article.
Sophie, you reviewed Censor, right? We
I
wanted
sure
to
did.
Yeah,
show.
what's the best? Have you seen anything good coming out of Sundance, Sophie?
Yeah, so I saw 5 movies and I really liked 4 of them and I really didn't like one of them, but I haven't reviewed it yet. Yeah,
we were going to try to do Censor for the show,
Yeah, we just
and it
couldn't
just like
get the
it
schedule
wasn't gonna work
together.
out.
Whenever that comes out, that was probably my favorite one I watched, and I don't know if any of you have read my review yet. It's fine if you haven't, but I think it will really, really, really appeal to you guys. Like, it was so much fun, and it was just
It looked
wild.
really good. Yeah.
Yes.
I started reading your review, and then I was worried I was learning too much about the movie, and I was like, all right, I don't know.
I don't think I really spoil anything, as long as you know the plot. But you don't really need to read my review to like. The plot is just so good.
I saw that you gave it 4.5 stars, so
I sure did. It was quite good. And I got to do it was actually very cool. Speaking of Women in Horror Month, that I saw 5 movies at Sundance. 4 of them were narrative fiction, like horror, sci-fi, and 1 was the new Rodney Asher documentary. But all of the 4 narrative films I saw were written and directed by women. Which I didn't realize. Like, I didn't look at who directed them. I was just like, oh, this is cool.
Wait, I saw the Rodney Asher. What's it about? I saw the
It's weird. It's called A Glitch in the Matrix. It's about simulation theory.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
It's wild. He interviews a bunch of people that he calls like witnesses, that are people who like believe in simulation theory and feel like they've had experiences that make them believe in it. And so he has extended interviews with all these people like he does in The Nightmare and everything else. But they are all represented on screen by like 3-dimensional computer generated avatars.
Love it.
So you never see them. And the sound design guy like built a soundscape around, like, one of them is a very futuristic looking, like, articulated metal fox. And when the guy is gesticulating, you can like hear the plates of metal like clinking into each other.
Okay, I need this in my life.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It comes out on VOD on Friday.
Love.
Oh.
I love that, because you'll find like respected scientists who are like, I don't know, 50-50 shot that we're in some kind of simulation. Who can say?
Well, it's one of these things is like you can't disprove it.
You can't
really.
disprove
so
it.
It's like, yeah, it's fun.
I would be ashamed of people if someone was like programming what we're doing right now.
Yeah, Joe, have you ever heard of The Sims? It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Think about that when you're got your edibles
like
going later.
when the sim wets itself because you don't let it go to the bathroom. That's Joe.
Because
That's
it's Fergie, so we are living in a simulation.
That's right.
Brought it all back around.
Yeah, very nice.
Exactly. One more email from Robin from the UK. I am a patron and have been a listener for about 8 years. I don't normally message podcasts, but this year we've all lived through makes me appreciate the few things I still enjoy even more. Like you guys, in the 8 years I've listened, start to finish 3 times. That's pretty impressive, Joe.
Wow.
That's a lot of time with you guys in my ears. As a UK listener, I have 2 recommendations from the 2020 list that you haven't seen. Saint Maud, superb, and at 84 minutes, I think you'll be happy. And Get Duked, I already like this. It's horror comedy and far more comedy than horror. cheers, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. If you ever question the use of your time, know that you've gotten me and many others through many tough times. It's like having buddies in your ears that are there when you need them.
Nice. I've actually seen Get Duked.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not terrible. It's not gonna like be your new favorite horror comedy either, but it's enjoyable.
Saint Maud, I think, is getting released like this week in the U.S. Or like I
think the
saw Sheldon
12th.
Okay, because Sheldon mentioned it on Slack. That's one that we like had on the list, and it was supposed to be out already, and obviously you got jammed up with the whole global pandemic situation.
Well, I like that after 8 years, Robin finally emailed us and Casey immediately shit on her recommendation. That's good. Thanks, Robin.
Joe,
Talk to you soon.
Joe, what do we... we're all very thankful for Robin and all the listeners. Joe, what do we got on Twitter?
We're on Twitter at BG Horror. We use the hashtag AskBGH every week if you want to send in a question. First up, from my one and only fan, Renee. Dos ex manati. So, can vampires get boners or not? Has a movie ever definitively addressed this? I feel like it's a frequently glossed over, considering how obsessed they are with seducing people.
Well, there is no sex in this movie, right? I always think of
I mean, there is in most vampire movies, right?
Well,
like there's the seduction, but there's never...
Right, because in Bram Stoker's Dracula, it's crazy horny, but he just bites her. Like, he doesn't...
Yeah. Sophie's got an example.
So I'm a really big Buffy fan, and if you like Buffy, there's a great Buffy podcast that's like two queer women doing like a queer feminist review of every Buffy episode, and they write a song to synopsize every episode, and it's delightful. They had a whole debate for like a season about whether or not vampires can get erections, but like Angel and Buffy for sure fucked. So
what about that thing we reviewed with David Bowie?
Is this like in the fanfic you wrote, or like like when you say for sure? Like...
John, what about that?
I mean, it's a plot point because it's a whole thing. It's a plot point. In the
I
show
don't
that
want.
they have sex.
I haven't.
She loses her virginity to Angel. He has a soul, and if he experiences true happiness, he'll lose it. And they have sex, and he loses his soul, and then he's evil, and then she has to send him to hell. Spoilers for Buffy.
Wow, that's a lot.
I don't need to watch Buffy now.
John,
you do need to watch Buffy.
John, what's that horny vampire movie with David Bowie we reviewed? Don't they bone
The
in that
Hunger?
movie? Yeah, don't they bone in that movie?
I
think they
maybe.
I don't know.
The vampires in True Blood bone a lot.
Oh yeah, there you go. Good point.
Or what about Only Lovers Left Alive? The word lovers is right in that title, John.
So I mean, I don't think I actually saw that one. I saw The Hunger. I don't remember if there's like intercourse.
I don't think there was.
But no, there's like like when I was in college, I had to read.
Boy, here we go.
There's a bunch of like academic literature about sexuality and vampire. Like they're all horny. Like this is not just like something that movie directors and writers have invented. It's kind of, I think it's been there since the beginning. I mean, Eric mentioned Dracula.
Yeah,
Very horny.
Horniness has been there since the dawn of time, John.
So horny.
Even with vampires.
Next up, Donnie Davis. Has the cast seen the first episode of Resident Alien? If so, what are their thoughts on it?
I don't know what that is.
I actually have seen it, and I loved it. It's a new sci-fi show with Pirate Steve from Dodgeball.
I do like Pirate Steve.
So he plays an alien that crash lands on Earth and then has to disguise himself as a human in like this small town. It's almost like a Northern Exposure. Yeah.
Is that Alan Tudyk? Is that who that is?
Yeah,
Alan Tudyk.
The first episode was really funny and really good, so I have very high hopes for it. So I like a fish out of water.
I was gonna say Eric loves a fish out of water comedy.
Yeah, I like
Hunky
shows
Boys.
with like little twists like this, where like there's an alien in a small town, like that. That stuff gets me.
John, speaking of hunky boys, how have I not brought this up yet? Can we talk about where you go bathing suit shopping?
Baby Gap. From what I saw in those photos.
wear.
Sophie, did you see the pictures of John's polar bear? What do they call that when they do that?
The polar bear
Polar plunge. No.
Joe, I'd like Joe right now to describe John's bathing suit because I like Joe's reaction.
I think the joke I made was like when you forget your bathing suit and Baby Gap is the only thing that's open.
No, so it's
a bold look.
It's like a lap swimming bathing. Like you know, it's not like a bathing. I intentionally wore a bathing suit that I knew was going to be a little ridiculous But the crazy thing is the guy, like there was a guy who got trimmed out of, maybe you could see him in one of the pictures, wearing like true banana hammock with like palm trees on it and shit. And I was like, that's son of a bitch.
You're not
That
that
is
Listen,
far.
you gotta minimize the cold fabric on your skin.
You're
after
not
you
that
pull
far
over
off,
plunge.
Schnars. And
100%,
I gotta say,
yeah.
bold move when
Yeah.
you take shrinkage into account too. Like,
Yeah,
so
John.
good for
I
you.
know. I could tell what religion you are in those photos.
We had a real hunky boy Saturday on Slack. I enjoyed it.
No, and thank you. Several of the patrons supported. The Polar Bear Plunge. I think it's nationally raises money for Special Olympics, and we had a nice number there.
How was the water?
I mean, it was cold. It honestly was not that bad. It was like 37, I think, 38,
God.
which the air was like 36. So
Yeah.
the hard, like I was saying to somebody, like the hardest part is honestly the preparing for it. Like getting undressed to get ready to get in the water was like worse than once you're in it, you can get the towel on.
Squeezing into that
don't you
bathing
think
suit
that
looked like it was the hardest part,
The
John.
getting out part is terrible. Like I've done it a couple of times, and I feel like once you get out and you're like getting feeling back in your extremities, that's awful.
But I wasn't in that long. Like my toes got numb, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Go on.
I also did mine in Rhode Island, so I feel like it was maybe
My sister did one
obscenely cold.
Dude, you ever
she
been-
did one in Minneapolis, and they had to cut a fucking hole in like the ice. It was like an ice
God.
fishing hole.
Yeah.
Dear God.
The last one I did, my cousin who was like because we did it all of the cousins every year. My youngest cousin never got to do it, and the last year I ever did it was the first year she would be allowed. So one of the older cousins had to take her, and I was like, I'll take her, and she went into shock.
Ooh.
Like she came out of the water and was just like,
Dear God.
had to, like,
This sounds
carry
fun.
her to the car. Yeah, so I haven't done it since then.
I liked it. I would recommend. So
Casey Kern, next up. Would you consider yourself near dark people or the Lost Boys people?
Probably Lost
little of
Boys.
both.
Probably Lost
Ask
Boys.
and answer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I was
Lost
gonna
Boys is
say, I
like
feel
just
like
so
we
much.
covered this.
It's so much fun.
I consider myself a frog brother.
Hell yeah.
Next up from our good friend Whitney. Whitney, please. What's your favorite Valentine horror movie to snuggle up with your loved one?
Vampire Lovers from Hammer.
What was that? It was what's her name from Who's the Boss? Alyssa Milano?
Oh, I know.
Was
what
it like Curse of the Vampire or something? It was borderline porn.
Yeah, that was when
but,
she in her 90s, like
yeah.
softcore kind or like very saucy 90s direct to video phase.
Yeah, I'd go with that one.
I don't really
this
have an
sounds
answer.
like a good cameo someone could send in. Actually,
Mhm.
Joe,
Oh, yeah.
Joe would have a good list. I suspect.
Anybody else?
My wife refuses. I mean, I think this is well documented. Suzanne will not watch a horror movie, even a movie that she thinks could have something slightly scary in it. It's like a hard no. So that
all
Alyssa Milano movie is what I'll be watching by myself. Is what I'm saying.
Mm. John, I'm just a Skype call away, John. Skizbot, I personally love a good courtroom drama or legal thriller. Primal Fear, A Few Good Men, Aaron Brockovich, love them. Do you enjoy them as well, or do you have any favorites?
I enjoy one courtroom drama, and it's called Matlock.
Yeah.
pretty much it.
I'm more of a police procedural type of guy myself.
Yeah, my list starts and ends at My Cousin Vinny.
Dude, my
Yeah.
cousin Vinny.
I don't
Not
really.
about comedy,
It's not really a
for sure.
genre that I'm that into, I guess.
Yeah, big fan.
All right, our buddy Adam, attorney at Space. What is a video you go back to on YouTube that always makes you laugh?
Oh, the dude when they're arguing over the Wizard of Oz, when he's just like, "She's the Wicked Witch of the East, bro. Grow up!" Like
Grow up.
Mary and I are constantly quoting this back and forth on Slack. It is the funniest video that has ever been made.
I've never seen
No,
that.
I'll
the
send it to
funniest
you.
video. Someone else asked this at some point, or maybe a different version of this question, but it's the grape stomp video.
Yes.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
the grape stomp.
Okay.
Video. You could never beat
That
that.
noise. I will hear that noise on my
Oh,
deathbed.
God.
Like,
Yeah, and laugh and laugh.
Yeah.
It is genuinely a tie for me because I feel like one is a cheat because it was on Vine, but I don't know if you all ever saw like when Vine was still a thing and you would go watch compilations on YouTube of good Vines. There's a great one that's like a video, like an outline of a Pokemon pops up and it's like, who's that Pokemon? And this guy like really excited is like, it's Pikachu, and they go, it's Clefairy, and he goes, fuck, and then the video just cuts. It's the best. But also, have you guys seen the video of the guy whose kayak is sinking, and he's just like, Sarah, help me?
No, I don't think so.
Oh God,
These both sound great though.
They're both delightful. I would recommend both of them highly.
Sophie, I pasted mine in the chat for you later.
Oh hell yeah!
I still go back and watch those. They were, I think, Fenster Films was the group that put them out. It was the GI Joe, like the more you know. At the end,
you brought these up before, yeah.
I still watch those. It's been like 20 years, and I still laugh like an idiot.
I remember when viral videos like first kind of started becoming a thing. Like I remember somebody emailing me peanut butter jelly time, and like taking probably an hour to download it. And I was drunk at a party and watching this, and just like, what am I even watching right now? Like, what is this?
Wasn't this site? It was like E-Bombs World or something.
Yes.
Was the site
Yes.
that had all that shit on it? It was like
it had
so
all
ridiculous.
of them.
Yeah.
So my favorite that I could always go back to I don't go back to it frequently, but when I do, it's always good. There was a web series on a site called Channel 101 called Twigger's Holiday. It was made by Rob Schaub. It has like Dan Harmon shows up in it and a couple other people. Those always crack me up. They have stupid songs. It's pretty good stuff.
Wicked Witch of Eastboro.
All right, here's the only one, 527, Jaded Queen. Random. I'm having trouble naming my two nameless, sexless, too young to determine genders, bearded dragons. Any suggestions? Here's a clip for inspiration. And she shows, there's a little picture of this tiny little bearded dragon.
Do it, Joe. What do you got?
I mean, Joe. Just name it Joe.
Oh, that's
Just
good.
name him Joe. Yeah.
Both of them? Joe 1, Joe 2?
Yeah, both of them. And then, like, why?
Then you got JoJo if you talked to both of them at the same time.
Have you guys watched the How to Train Your Dragons movies?
Yes.
No.
So my son's like obsessed with them right now. There's a little How to Train Your Dragon phase. I love the dragons in that show have wonderful names. Like they all look different, obviously. So it's like, I don't know. There's like Screaming Death. There's Whispering Death.
I mean, I'd probably go with some Game of Thrones things.
What were the ferrets in Beastmaster? Kodo and Podo? You can go with that.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
I really like naming one of them Joe and
my-
one of them Schnars, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
My daughter has a really big beardy that's named Fidget.
Oh.
I don't really get.
How long do they live?
I don't really get owning reptiles.
Quite a
as
bit.
pets, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, what do you do with them? You just look at them.
Nothing. I told this story tons of times. I had a turtle for 17 years and like never grew attached to the thing.
Yeah, it's a friggin' turtle.
You're just like, when is this gonna die?
It's cold
Well,
blooded.
no, when we moved here, I gave it away and like didn't even shed a tear.
Yeah.
Delaney will get hers out every couple days and carries it around the house, talks to it, lets it sit on her shoulder while she's crawling around on her chest while she's watching TV and stuff.
That thing will murder her the first chance it gets.
It's just waiting until it's big enough.
Yeah. We're on Instagram at Bloody Good Horror. Every Tuesday we post up. If you want to just send in a question, we'll make dumb comments, or I'll make a dumb comment, and then we'll make more dumb comments here. First up from our friend who refuses to use the form, Tippy the hamster. Speaking of pets, Tippy the hamster wants to know what pets you guys have, and she's sending a picture of her hamster.
I have a funny. This is related to both this and the old question. Actually, I had a turtle when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I read that this kind of turtle could grow up to like 10 inches around. So I was like, I want this turtle to get really big so I can walk it. Except here's the thing, John. Turtles don't get that big when they're like in a cage, like in a small tank. Like
They grow as big as like their
Yeah.
environment.
That really
They
bummed-
also walk very slowly.
it really well. It was John. It was not a great plan. Okay, is my point. But I'm just saying, like, no, I didn't really do enough research. But yeah.
I do have a coworker who had a pet turtle that she used to walk on a leash.
See,
Thanks.
it's a thing. Joe, you have dogs. You have a couple dogs.
I have two, yeah, Lemmy and Autumn. Autumn's okay, she's fine. Lemmy
And-
is a prince sent from the heavens above.
And people who've listened to the show have gone. You literally heard you go literally from a person who like would be like, I don't understand animals. Why do you have animals in your house? It's disgusting.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
awful."
Like I've always, like I like dogs. I was never like I never had a desire to own one.
to just
and
like
I,
laying on the
yeah.
floor, mouth kissing these dogs. Like,
Well, like I said, Lemmy is a special creature, and we share a certain bond.
that's the thing about dogs. If your first dogs are really amazing, you're like, oh, we should get another one. Then you're like, oh, sometimes dogs are just assholes. Like,
Yeah, I mean, she's not an asshole. She's fine. She's not Lemmy. And I tell her that every day.
it's messed up. Casey?
We've got Aggie the Beagle and like 4 cats. And then Delaney's got a Beardy and a gerbil.
Joe? Or John?
We have Homer and Barney. They are brother cats.
Brother cats.
They were
Brother
the same litter.
cats, Brother
Is
cats.
that like a Mormon thing, John?
Brother cats.
They were spiritually married.
Sister wives.
Sophie, what about you?
In the eyes of the Lord.
Eric,
Sophie?
you have a dog.
Sophie? Sophie?
What?
Do you have pets?
Me?
Yeah.
No pets. No pets over here. My fiance is very anti-pet. I'm hoping he'll end up like Joe and I'll get a dog eventually, but
I fought it for years and then finally broke down. And like the dog, Lemmy was supposed to be like my daughter's best friend. And like I immediately befriended him. And now the rest of the family, I think, resents him.
my therapist was like, Sophie, I think a dog would be really good for your anxiety. And I was like, can you please write me a note? Like, that would be great.
I like that. Yeah, I have a Chihuahua mix named Nugget who weighs like 8 pounds, and you've heard him on the show because he's allergic to everything, and he just walks around the house all day sounding like an emphysemic senior man. So you've definitely heard him on the show before. But yeah,
Sounds like a great companion.
yeah, it's great.
All right, bunch of other questions here. Favorite David Bowie album? My answer obviously was Under the Table and Dreaming. 10
Oh,
points
Lord.
if you get that reference.
That is a
John.
good. That is a good one. Yeah, I think
I
I had
get
that
it.
one, Joe.
I'd go
I mean,
Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, I think you got to go Ziggy Star. I don't know. Station to
Is that-
station.
I'm not familiar with any of it, really, so
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate him. I couldn't tell you like one album is. How much schnars can a schnars chuck if a schnars chuck could chuck schnars?
how
I
much?
think we've gotten that question before, you unoriginal bastard, but
Oh.
no. I'm kidding. I don't know.
It did sound familiar. I went with 7.
Yeah, sounds right.
Is he's chucking himself? I don't really.
I get a
understand the
little
question.
sleepy after the 7.
One chuck. One chuck. Is,
Yeah, I mean that's impressive, John. The refractory period, they're pretty good.
here's one favorite Tori Amos song.
I don't. What are
Well,
Tori Amos songs?
Not
I
listen
don't-
to her much. Sorry.
That's the Caitlyn song
Right.
or a Caitlyn question, right?
We're gonna have to.
I don't know.
cue this.
100% is. How did you just yeah?
No,
Um,
no, I thought it was for
Oh,
her.
did she
You're saying
ask
it was
it?
from her?
No, it's from her. Yeah, I usually don't. Yeah.
Oh,
plan.
Caitlin, I love it.
My response to be a dick was that if I could walk 1,000 miles, so.
I saw that.
What was I actually do like what I've heard of Tori Amos. I really do like. She had that song with like the Rats where she's playing the piano. Like that one was actually very nice.
The rats?
Yeah.
I think she's always playing the piano. I think that's like
Yeah,
the thing that
But not with rats, John.
What are
no,
the
not
rats?
usually.
Have you tried the Medium on Xbox yet?
Nope.
Which I didn't. They made a video game out of that Patricia Arquette TV show.
Mhm.
Like that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Wait, that's seriously what it's based on?
John,
What are you guys?
John,
Casey was nodding, and I was like, oh. Okay,
did that,
what?
John? Did that speedo cut off the blood flow to your brain?
I mean, it's a terrible name for a game either way, but
I've
John,
need to
never-
go
what
to
is
the
your
doctor.
level of self-loathing when you think that Joe is saying something serious? but
Dude,
you
it's the
realize
worst.
he's not?
It's
It
the
is, it's
worst.
tough.
It feels bad, man.
yeah, I get taken in. It is hard. I get it.
This is my favorite episode. When we reach episode 1,000, instead of doing a compilation, Eric, just put this one out again.
Okay.
Played any good board games lately?
You'd have to be able to be around like people to do that.
I bought a bunch because like my son's like getting old enough now that I want to like indoctrinate it. I love board games, and so I don't know. We've had like mixed results. It's got like he's 6, so his focus isn't quite there
Yeah.
yet. But
Yeah, as a person with like terminal focus issues, I find them impossible to play. Like my leg is I'm like bouncing around. I can't wait.
so
like,
I'll give you a recommendation. It's not a board game. It's a game called Quicks. My wife found it. I have no idea where she found it. It's like I don't know if people play Yahtzee. I used to love Yahtzee, so I was playing that with my son. This is like another. It's like just another like dice rolling game, but it's like I think it's got a little more strategy.
do
than
like-
Yahtzee, which
I do like Yahtzee. We used to play it when I was a kid.
yeah, Yahtzee's great.
I got Colleen Patchwork for Christmas, and we've been playing that. That's a nice little 2-player game.
That's what I need. I need more two-player.
Yeah.
I'm like not into. There's this whole wave of these like just new. I kickstarted my nerd board game. It's about horror. Like all these like everything's got a new rule set. Like I need to just play some old school shit with some rules I know. I can't learn new rules for every game. Is what I'm saying.
So Eric would hate this one. So this recommendation's not for Eric. And it's John, probably not for your son yet, because I don't know that he'd quite be old enough. But a board game that I learned a couple years ago that I loved. It is like one of my all-time favorites. It's just so much fun. But only if you're a board game nerd, probably. It is called Steampunk Rally. So the idea is that all of you play as like different inventors during the industrial age, and you basically are each building like giant steampunk machines to race through the Swiss Alps. It's got like lots of dice and cogs and stuff. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, I think I saw it on like one of the lists. Like, I was looking at like lists of, and like it was one that got mentioned. There's a game called Azul that's like gotten really popular that my wife bought for Christmas. That's pretty fun. That's very
good stuff.
Yeah, and he's like Eric, like not complicated. Like, and Eric could handle it, I think.
Oh.
There's like 3 versions of that now, John.
Yeah. I know they've done a couple spin-outs.
One that I feel like Eric could tolerate and would be kid friendly. Have you guys played that game? I won't be able to remember the name of it, but I could find it. But it's very popular, and it's like the board lines and your pog has to start on the edge of the board, and like whenever a new line appears, you have to go there, and once you pop off the board, you're out.
No,
I
don't know.
I'll find the name of it. Continue.
That sounds made up.
It's like inventing a game on the fly right now. So.
No, it's really fun. It's really popular too. I thought one of you would have played it.
All right. Did you guys ever cover The Woman from 2012? Just saw it, and damn. And we did. We have
did.
Covered. Best creature / monster design of the 90s.
Oh, the 90s. That's a good one.
This is like a research
Tremors.
one, I feel like.
Tremors.
Yeah.
Tremors is great.
Was Tremors 90? It wasn't 80s, the
Nope,
first one?
It's 1990.
It had to be 90s.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Guys, the game is called Tsuro, Tsuro.
Okay. I haven't heard
And
of
that's
that.
a trick question, John.
Not made up.
Because you know what else came out in the 90s? Tremors 2, Aftershocks. Still good.
Oh,
January-
Baby Quakes.
John, just by the skin of its January 19th, 1990.
There you go.
19 days into the decade.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a buried. That was definitely in the time too when a January release meant they didn't know what the hell to do with your movie.
Yeah, totally.
Here's another one. Any pets? If no, who do you blame your farts on? I think you can't blame farts on a cat, right?
No.
The cats fart.
No.
Yeah.
We already
They
covered
smell
it.
for other reasons.
I do blame
sometimes.
them on the dog. So
What should I do with the approximately 345 drawings my kid makes per week? Eventually, just trash.
When you
gotta
figure
throw
this
them
out,
trash.
can you let me know?
We like take pictures of them, like if it's like something that deserves a picture being taken, and then we throw it away.
We do have like we did this like collage of some of Mia's and like framed them and put them on the wall like their actual artwork.
You know what? Well, sorry, we can move on. But like Suzanne bought these metal racks at like IKEA or something that you can install on the wall, and then you give the kids magnets, and it's basically like they have like a fridge in their room that they can like put shit on. That was actually really nice. And then you just like rotate the shit out of there when they get new shit. So.
Does it count as my wife shoveling snow if she just takes selfies for Instagram the whole time?
Absolutely not. And in fact, if you really care about shoveling snow, you wouldn't be taking pictures.
I like the idea of
Fucking
like
shoveling snow.
he's shoveling and then the wife comes out all dressed up, takes a picture, and goes back inside.
It seems a little.
I would lose my mind if that happened.
Just get a snowblower. Like Joe, I do not understand why you don't just have a snowblower.
Love it. I love so we got like a foot of snow over the weekend,
that's still
and
work.
it took me 2 hours to shovel, and I felt the burn. I got inside, I was like drenched in sweat. It's like it's better than going to the gym.
Yeah, I like shoveling snow as well.
No, I have bad shoulders, so no, thank you.
It's very like it's the same
I'm fat.
reward
I
as
don't want anything to do with it.
like a fresh mowed lawn. It's the same reward when you look outside and your driveway's clean. Oh wait, I already did that. Better place to live, Vegas or Houston?
I don't really know anything about Houston, but I could say don't live in Vegas.
Mm.
I actually, that's not just me in my going there once. I work with someone who lived in Vegas for years and has just nightmare stories about it.
I was going to say,
Wanda-
to be fair, you famously have been to New Orleans once and hate it, so I wouldn't trust your
That's
review of
also
any
true.
city
True,
that you've been
yeah.
to one time.
Mondo lives in Vegas. He seems to like it.
Yeah.
He's
I think it gets a
awesome.
bad rap, but
Mondo's metal,
I-
though. He can handle anything.
I watch a lot of Love After Lockup, and there's a few people from Vegas there. So, when can we expect the BGH OnlyFans to open up? I mean, I'm not showing my peen on camera.
Well, Joe.
I mean, it sounds like the Valentine's Day cameos are basically going to be a
Yeah.
BGH only.
Also, Joe, you don't go right to peen, all right? You got to like tease it out a little bit. You got
What
to.
do you do?
Yeah.
Joe, I
We
got
are
a
gonna
bathing
start-
suit.
we are
I
gonna-
can ship
Yeah,
you.
exactly, John.
Keep
Maybe
it
then
together.
John. Hey, I'll stick with Cameo. John will do the OnlyFans.
Yeah, we're not gonna
Um,
go full OnlyFans, but we are selling my bathwater now.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Here's one. Why snow? I mean, just science, right? Like science makes it happen.
No, I'm with them. It sucks.
Who did it best? Trauma versus Full Moon. I mean, Trauma, right?
Full moon.
Roma.
Of the two, yeah,
Terrible.
if you have to pick, I guess.
Yeah. If the group were in the Thing setting, who would be infected first and who would survive?
I don't know, but I get the Wilford Brimley character, right?
Dude was like in his 30s when that
Got
movie
that
was
on lock.
made, and he looks 80.
No, he was.
He was
not
in his 30s?
Hold on,
There's no way.
Maybe that was an
Late
exaggeration, but
teens.
he was way younger than you think. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Joe, did you say 15?
Late teens.
You just hit puberty, but yeah.
My reply to this was if I was trapped in like a station in the middle of nowhere with all of you, I would have walked out into the snow and just
Yeah.
accepted my
That's-
All
fate.
right,
actually the
just kidding. He was like
long
50 when that came out, but
I
still,
was going to say.
Still, I
Eric-
would have guessed older. But...
Yeah.
I don't know if you would learn new rules for this, but Mondo made a The Thing board game a couple years ago.
I know.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I can't. It's nothing personal. I just don't.
They have
it's
a
not my
YouTube
bag.
video to teach you how to play.
You
It's
can't
just like playing Among Us
You
on a
can't
board
just
game.
invent a new board game every time. I'm not down with that as a concept that is allowed.
It's just,
But like you get that Monopoly was a new board game at
Yeah,
one point.
you know what
right?
is
Like,
awful and I will never play? Monopoly.
Yes,
It's
so people
awful.
need to invent new board games too.
Yeah.
Or just don't. I
Like,
don't. Maybe just leave it at Yahtzee and like Candyland. Let's just move on.
oh god, Candyland is fucking
No, it's terrible.
worthless.
It's terrible. It's just like I feel like I can count on one hand the number of times. You know what I like? I don't know. I don't think this is a board game. I like Scrabble.
That's a board game.
It's a board game.
I like Scrabble.
Fine.
It's a game that you play on a board.
It works the
so-
mind. Very simple rules. You get one of the newfangled ones, John, that spin around. Then you don't even have to. It's just great.
Here's one I don't fully understand. What if it was for puppers?
Was there a was
Uppers
there a
is
first?
the beer brand in Letterkenny, so I'm assuming it had to do with that.
Was there a first
Oh.
question?
It might have been. I don't remember what I typed in the, send us your questions. So maybe I put something stupid. I don't know. What fond GameStop memories do you have? Mine was driving in a blizzard to buy World of Warcraft. I can't tell you, like I have
GameStop kind of
zero.
Kind of sucked. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I still have GameStop points on like fucking rando cards.
Here's why I
laying
like
around
GameStop. Here's why I like GameStop because there's always one around when I don't want to go into another store with someone else, let's say, and I can just be like, I'm gonna go stare dead-eyed at video games for like a half an hour. Let me know when you're done. That's why I like.
Well, they
GameStop.
you could always play something too. Like there was always. Like,
No,
a
I'm
turf
not.
system
That's
to have.
filthy. I'm not touching those kiosks, John. That's
Thank
disgusting.
you.
I
Valid
think I
point.
did do one midnight World of Warcraft release for one
Even
of the
even
expansions.
pre-pandemic, I'm not touching your sweaty like
No,
public
Eric,
control.
I feel very close to you right now.
No, it's
You know what makes you
disgusting.
want to throw up? Those massage chairs
Oh,
in
no.
the malls. Like,
No.
All right, obviously that's gross, Joe. I mean, I understand, but like,
John, you
hold
think
on,
they're
like, if
wiping
you-
down that GameStop fucking GameCube controller that like 40 kids had played on that day?
yeah.
No.
Not
But you
just
have
kids,
to touch
like
so many
video
other
game
things when you're
kids.
shopping, like
Yeah.
the keypad that you have to touch with
Elbows.
to pay.
Elbows. And
You
I have a
type in
little
your
punch.
PIN code with your
No,
elbow.
actually, I have a
He's
little
got tiny
thing.
little elbows.
I have a little thing on my key.
Uses his nose.
I have a little thing in my keychain that's made for like pushing buttons now.
oh my god, you are a fucking.
John.
Joe's
wacko.
birthday.
Hi, John.
Joe's
It's a
birthday. Can you,
pandemic.
like, tie
Are
him
you
to a
familiar?
hotel or a mall massage chair and make him
Oh.
eat someone else's ice cream cone.
So disgusting.
Sophie, that you just described like my Hellraiser version of hell right there.
All right. Last but not least, I mean, GameStop is like literally one step above Radio Shack as far as
No,
like
yeah,
awfulness,
it's
right?
like-
Well,
You know what it
that-
is?
That's why it was going out of business. Like,
But
that's
it's
why
like,
they were
but it's
having
like
at
the
a profit
Blockbuster
point.
equivalent. It's like a anesthetized version of a once really cool thing. Like video game stores are cool, but it's just like this is just you made it to
Yeah.
corporate or something.
All right. So last but not least, so just how porny is too porny for an Instagram feed?
Joe.
I don't know. I mean, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
What I didn't know is like, is he talking about his feed or someone else's that he's watching? Is that
Right? Is someone checking who you follow? Is that what the concern is here?
Yeah, I assume that's what the question was. Hold on, like, so I haven't been on Instagram in a minute. Like,
No, you can't have
is
nips.
there
No
is there
nips.
nudity? There's no nudity,
You,
right?
I mean,
I think you could, right?
you can get around it,
You gotta like cover nipples and stuff.
right?
But I think you can like send directly to like a certain group of people and probably show whatever the
If
hell
it's
you
like a
want.
private
John,
feed,
post
For
some of
sure.
your
No holds
post some of your banana suit pictures and see if they get flagged.
Yeah.
They
that's
don't
right.
have a lot of rules about butts. I will tell you that.
Nope. Yeah,
I
settle
was gonna
down.
say,
The only way to
listen,
live.
I really appreciate a good butt. Don't care about gender. Doesn't matter at all. Just like a nice butt. And I have a friend in LA who always sends me pictures of butts from Instagram. So much that now his Discover page on Instagram is like 85% butts.
That's my fear. Like that's what I'd be terrified of.
Yeah.
That's it for questions. I think we're done here.
Love it. Yeah, we don't know what we're doing the next couple weeks, but we're looking for some more women in horror picks. So I guess send us your recommendations if you got. We'll do old school or new school, whatever you got. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. Don't forget we are on patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You can get a live stream of the show. You can get access to Slack, and don't forget everything in our store for the month of February. Proceeds are going to RAIN, a really great organization working to help victims of sexual violence. So obviously a very important cause. Anything, go to t-shirts or shirts.bloodygoodhorror.com. Take you right to the store. You can buy anything, but we also have that new design in there. Sophie, thank you for joining us. How do people, again, get to tweet with BGH?
You can follow @BGH New Class Live on Twitter.
Love it. So that's coming up too. All right, guys, that'll do it. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.